This is the peyote stitch. In this video we'll be going over the even count peyote, where we have an even number of columns. So stick with me and I'll show you how. We thread our needle with about an arm's length of thread, and we pick up an even number of beads. I'm using size 8 seed beads. And we slide those beads down, leaving about a 6-inch tail. Now we want to keep hold of the end of the tail to stop our beads falling off. I usually just wrap it around my finger. We pick up a bead, and we want to skip over the first bead of the 6 we originally added, and sew through the second bead, sewing back in the same direction as our tail. Now we should have 2 beads stacked on top of each other and one on its own, with both tail and working thread coming out of it. We pick up another bead, we skip over the next bead and sew through the one after it. Pick up another bead, skip over the first bead and sew through the second. We should have alternating columns of 2 beads and 1 bead. This gives us our first 3 rows, each row being about half a bead higher than the last. To start a new row, we pick up a bead, we skip over 1 bead and sew through the next. Now that we've done our first few rows, this should be easier, as the bead we want to sew through is sticking up and the bead we're skipping over is dipped down. Pick up another bead, into the next sticking up bead, pick up a bead, sew through the next sticking up bead, onto the next row, pick up a bead, skip the dipped bead and sew through the sticking up bead, pick up a bead, skip the dipped bead, sew through the sticking up bead, pick up a bead, skip the dipped bead and sew through the sticking up bead. Onto another row, pick up a bead, skip the dipped bead, sew through the sticking up bead, pick up a bead, skip the dipped bead, sew through the sticking up bead, pick up a bead, skip the dipped bead and sew through the sticking up bead. Onto the next row, pick up a bead, sew through the next sticking up bead, pick up a bead, sew through the next sticking up bead, pick up a bead and sew through the sticking up bead. That's it. Pick up a bead, skip one, sew through one, always sewing through the sticking up bead. Carry on until you reach your desired length. And that's how to do the even count peyote stitch.